Foreclosure Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here today. I'm really excited for this episode. This is another case study on a recently closed deal that one of my one-on-one coaching students closed on last month, and it just worked out perfectly for him just this last Friday. And I get really excited about the success that our students are having in closing not just one deal, but multiple deals, but also making really great above average returns, whether they're using their own money or other people's money. So let me set the stage for this deal. This investor, very seasoned investor, done a lot of stuff, but new to notes. This is his first note that he bought. And when he got into the coaching, he wanted to focus on performing notes. We were looking at performing notes, making some offers. He's from Arkansas, Little Rock. And what's great is when we get listed, we don't often see a lot of stuff in Arkansas. I mean, if we do, it's one, twosie. And he was not opposed to buying in other states, but when something pops up in your state, it's kind of the place that you look at first. I think we all agree to that, right? Well, lo and behold, come first part of December, we get this tape of 245 assets in. It's got one asset in Arkansas. And I don't recognize the city, but it turns out it's just like 15 minutes from his house, this actual asset. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I'm like, do you want to pursue this? Like, yeah, I think I'd take a look at this since it's so close. I'm like, okay, great. So he takes a look at it. He drives out. It's kind of rural. Zillow doesn't give any images to it. You can see that it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but he's not opposed to it because it is close to where he's at. So he drives out to take a look at it. It turns out it's based on the things that we can find. It is 17 acres. Okay, it's a double wide on 17 acres of land. And let me give you a little bit of the numbers, the background on this deal. Okay, when we looked at it, $86,000 is legal balance. Now, if you're listening to this, you're not going to see the slides, but we have the video. We're walking through the numbers on the slides. You can see. So when we looked at the spreadsheet, it had an $86,000 legal balance. They owed 86 grand and some change. The fair market value, and my student's very, very familiar with the area. He's like, hey, their fair market value of the area is accurate, 110,000. I was like, that's a pretty good deal for 17 acres. He goes, well, if we buy this and we do end up having to take it back, I'll probably keep the woods. It had wooded land in the 17 acres. I'd probably subdivide the mobile home on one lot and keep the rest in woods. I'm like, that makes sense. If you can buy something with acreage on it, why not? And I totally agree with that. So $110,000 fair market value, pretty good, right? Lot was that 8 grand per acre, something like that. So we went back and forth. He and I on this a little bit back and forth, but we originally made an offer at 55, and the asset manager said, hey, I've got an offer right now at 56. I said, well, if we accept 56, will you say yes to it? And he's like, yes. So we bumped it to 56, bid accepted. Great. All right. Like I said, the borrower hadn't paid in a couple of years. And so our student, he actually drove out, took a look at it. It was gated off. He was able to get through the gate. And it looked like it was vacant. Mobile home looked to be in good shape. So he's like, that's a Bravo. It would rent for about $800, $900 a month, maybe $1,000 a month. But it wasn't occupied. And as we were doing our due diligence, we found that there was a January 14th foreclosure date already set. So you didn't have long to wait, which is awesome, right? If you're buying a non-performing note, you won't wait 2 years, 3 years. If you're buying in New York, New Jersey, we don't necessarily like to wait a year. I mean, we've had to do that in some cases, especially in Florida or South Carolina. But this one, Arkansas, usually has a pretty fast foreclosure process. Why the asset manager or the fund hadn't already done the foreclosure, I don't know. But they were willing to sell it to 56. We're like, that's not so bad. Okay. It's roughly about 50 cents on the dollar of value. All right. So, and the borrower's monthly payment is like $428, $490 a month. I'll have the number here in a second. So the whole goal of this is to buy it, finish the foreclosure, and my student was happy keeping the acreage and the land and going that route. But we also, if the borrower did come to the table and wanted to modify it, he wasn't opposed to doing that either. Remember, I said his first priority was to buy a performing it. Well, nothing goes by. Servicing gets transferred to Covey Financial from the existing servicer. He's able to retain counsel. It turns out the attorney's in Little Rock, about 10 minutes from his office. So he's able to retain the servicing, move servicing, but retain counsel. Counsel was going to finish the foreclosure up. He reached out. Suddenly, lo and behold, a month goes by and we get into roughly the week of the foreclosure auction. Lo and behold, his servicer calls him on the phone and says, hey, the borrower just contacted us. They would like to bring some money to the table to keep the property. And my student's like, okay, how much is he looking to bring? And Kobe Financial says the borrower is willing to bring $25,000 to the table to get the loan back on track. He's borrowed money from his friends and families and stuff like that. He really doesn't want to lose the property. And the foreclosure is set to take place in just a couple of days. Would you be willing to extend the foreclosure? My student's like, yeah, of course you'd be do. So he calls the attorney, tells the attorney, hey, don't foreclose. Let's pause it a while. Let's make sure this deposit comes in. And lo and behold, guess what? The deposit comes in at $25,000, just really days before the January foreclosure set for 2023. Okay. So that's a pretty good day. All right. $25K to the table. If you look at the numbers, and now once he's brought the money to the table, wired it in, basically reinstates the loan, and the monthly payment is going to be really good as well. But if you look at that, $25,000 income on a $56,000 investment, that's roughly a 44% cash and cash return in 45 days. Now, if you annualize that, that's pretty freaking good. It's almost a 300% annualized return in the first year. That's not to mention the monthly payment, basically, of starting to make the $428 a month or the $490 a month coming in. After year one, even if you didn't get another payment for the rest of the year, but after, it's at least about a 300% cash and cash return in his first year. And then after that, it's going to be roughly about a 9.2, 9.3% cash and cash return after year one. Now, if the borrower stops paying, guess what? He'll foreclose. He'll start the foreclosure process again. But this is great. Now, what happened with this? How did this borrower get back on track? Well, partially, you have borrowers that sometimes hide their head in the sand. They don't want to lose it. They've lost their job. They've been out of work. They've gone through a divorce. It seems like this borrower has gone through a couple of things, but sometimes having a different servicer that reaches out will be helpful. So we got to give a big kudo to Eric Covey and his staff over at Covey Financial, and just being able to pick up the phone and get a hold of my student on a timely fashion. But you wish everything turned out this way. I mean, worst case, if he had to foreclose, guess what? He ends up with 17 acres and a double wide, 15 minutes from his house. He'd sell the double wide for 25, 30 grand and keep the rest in the land. And it's wooded. He could sell the timber if he wanted to. 17 acres is a pretty good sized plot, but this borrower wants to keep it and was able to come to the table. So this is a true win-win across the board. Win for my student who's just doing a great job. He's got 2 more performing loans approved upon. He's going to be closing on 3 or 4 deals in his first 90 days. This is a great deal. You wish you could hit him out of the park like this all the time. Unfortunately, it takes making a lot of offers. He'd made a few offers before that weren't accepted, but guess what? You're able to find something that makes sense. He went out and took a look at it. He was very comfortable with the property, and he's comfortable with whichever strategy. If he had to foreclose, he's comfortable with it. If his borrower would have modified, he probably would have taken less than $25K to get the borrower back on track or modify the loan, but the borrower offered up $25K. So if he's going to offer up $25K, why not take it? It's also more skin in the game from the borrower, who's probably less likely to default going forward because they've put the money in and gotten back on track. And that's the beauty. You want to work with borrowers to try to keep them in their house. And this is what we love about non-performing, is that he was able to get a property well below value at a sizable discount below what was owed. And there was a no lose situation for my student. He either takes the property back, which is 15 minutes from his house, which is nice, or he modifies the mortgage in some sort of fashion. Didn't expect on a full reinstatement, but hey, that's great. He would have been glad to do a trial payment plan, have the borrower making a payment would have yielded a double-digit return to him, bring some of the arrearages down, start paying the existing payment, get back on track. And this is, the beauty. Collateral file's clean. We reviewed the collateral file. That's why he funded on this, wired in the funds in. It was a true win-win scenario for it. So kudos to my student. We love seeing our students close on deals like this that make something happen. And they don't always go this smooth in 45 days of a strategy. But guess what? You know, the more offers you make, the more things. We've had borrowers get reinstated within a week of closing. We bought a note one time that we thought we were going to take 6 months to foreclose. We ended up able to foreclose in 2 weeks because the seller transferred the wrong loan to us. That was a 2-week foreclosure versus a 6-month foreclosure. So we ended up buying both the deals. So, you know, anytime you make a great deal like that, great return, that's phenomenal. Those results are not typical. Let me make that disclosure. Typical deal takes longer than 45 days to get re-performed. But guess what? Hey, sometimes you have lightning strike, and it's good to be on that end of the return. So kudos to our student. He's kicking ass and taking names. We love our one-on-one coaching students. If you'd like to find out more about our coaching, hey, feel free to reach out to me. Either drop me an email at scott@weclosenotes.com or schedule a call to talk with me about it at talkwithscottcarson.com. But pretty simple. Servicers lined up now. It's going to be it's only $15 a month servicing because it'll be a performing note. So this is a great deal. And our student, he used his own funds to fund the deal. So it's all money going back to him. And he's still at the point where he could, if he wants, he could refinance out his funds with somebody else who wanted to make a 5 or 6% return on investment. And our student is actively, I think he's pulled every county IRA list in all of Arkansas and has his VA skip tracing to find those people. So he's going to raise a sizable amount of private capital to go out and close on some more deals. So stay tuned for some more updates, guys. Once again, we identified this deal as it was close to him. The price made sense. The value of the property was there. He was comfortable potentially foreclosing and taking the property back. If you're not comfortable taking a property back, you probably shouldn't be buying the note if that's what's going to end up happening. If you're looking for performing notes, that's great. This wasn't occupied at the time. It was vacant. Tax, there was a little bit of tax behind, but the borrower is paying the taxes to bring that up current on top of the 25. So also, he will also be paying forced place insurance to make sure everything's happy. So it's a really slam dunk deal for our buddy Keith. So guys, gals, go out, take some action. This is the beautiful thing about non-performing. You get some amazing returns. You just got to sort through them and work it like anything else and be coachable. So go out, take some action, everybody, and we'll see you all at the top. Bye. Here's wishing you higher returns as well.